give them something to drink. To the cliffs!
1 Kings 18. And it came to pass after many days that the word of the Lord came to Elijah in the 3rd year, saying, Go, show thyself unto Ahab, and I will send rain upon the earth. And Elijah went to show himself unto Ahab. And there was a sore famine in Samaria. And Ahab called Obadiah, which was the governor of his house. Now Obadiah feared the Lord greatly. For it was so, when Jezebel cut off the prophets of the Lord, that Obadiah took 100 prophets, and hid them by 50 in a cave, and fed them with bread and water. And Ahab said unto Obadiah, Go into the land, unto all fountains of water, and unto all brooks. Peradventure we may find grass to save the horses and mules alive, that we lose not all the beasts. So they divided the land between them to pass throughout it. Ahab went one way by himself, and Obadiah went another way by himself. And as Obadiah was in the way, behold, Elijah met him, and he knew him, and fell on his face and said, Art thou that my lord Elijah? And he answered him, I am. Go tell thy lord, Behold, Elijah is here. And he said, What have I sinned that thou wouldst deliver thy servant into the hand of Ahab, to slay me? As the Lord thy God liveth, there is no nation or kingdom whither my Lord hath not sent to seek thee. And when they said, He is not there, he took an oath of the kingdom and nation that they found thee not. And now thou sayest, Go, tell thy Lord, Behold, Elijah is here. And it shall come to pass, as soon as I am gone from thee, that the Spirit of the Lord shall carry thee whither I know not. And so when I come and tell Ahab, and he cannot find thee, he shall slay me. But I thy servant fear the Lord from my youth. Was it not told my Lord what I did when Jezebel slew the prophets of the Lord, how I hid 100 men of the Lord's prophets by 50 in a cave, and fed them with bread and water? And now thou sayest, Go, tell thy Lord, Behold, Elijah is here, and he shall slay me? And Elijah said, As the Lord of hosts liveth, before whom I stand, I will surely show myself unto him today. So Obadiah went to meet Ahab and told him. And Ahab went to meet Elijah. And it came to pass, when Ahab saw Elijah, that Ahab said unto him, Art thou he that troubleth Israel? And he answered, I have not troubled Israel, but thou and thy father's house, in that ye have forsaken the commandments of the Lord, and thou hast followed Baalim. Now therefore send and gather to me all Israel unto Mount Carmel, and the prophets of Baal 450, and the prophets of the groves 400, which eat at Jezebel's table. So Ahab sent unto all the children of Israel, and gathered the prophets together unto Mount Carmel. And Elijah came unto all the people, and said, How long halt ye between two opinions? If the Lord be God, follow him. But if Baal, then follow him. And the people answered him not a word. Then said Elijah unto the people, I, even I only, remain a prophet of the Lord. But Baal's prophets are 450 men.
Hey, Shalom. Praises to you, Habashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, Rakakodash. Much mercy and much honor. Much mercy to you brothers out there, and true honors to you brothers that's really in the spirit, that really see this thing and know when to move, know when to hold, know to embrace and know when to draw back, knowing from stopping embracing. And we're in a time where we're not embracing anymore like that. This is a time where the Lord said sometimes it's time to speak, and it's time to not speak. When you go to this chapter, it got to a certain point to where the prophets of the Lord, they had to be hid. Now, when you go through this chapter, it explains Elijah too, and he was saying that our people had went off and they had left the Lord. And what happened was you had the prophets back in them days. The true prophets. See, the true prophets, they knew when it was time. The true prophets knew. Let me say this again, man. The true prophets knew when it was time to go hide in the caves, or they knew when it was time to, refrain. You see what I'm saying? Because the world's not doing nothing but getting worse. And the more the world gets more worse, like the job is almost done. And the elect are finding the scriptures and the truth via the line on the earth, on the internet at this time. This is a very demonic time that we're in. And if you're not really in the spirit, just like the world that's out there, the false prophets, they're going to be out there amongst the world. And just like this chapter, the prophets, at a certain point, they had to the true men of the Lord, they're going to hide themselves. But the false prophets, they're going to be all out there to be being seen of men. And guys don't know when it's time to hold back, hide thyself, like the Lord hid Noah. And a lot of the prophets knew what time it was. They know what time it was. But nobody understands what time it is because everybody's a part of the fucking world. There been, camps, groups, and guys, they've been swallowed along down with the world. So they're not teaching in the stead of like how Elijah was teaching. They're not teaching in the spirit of Elijah or Yahushua or the prophets in Acts. They're not teaching like that. They're teaching because it's like a business. It's like making money. Now, if you look at it like this, if you was to tell somebody, let's just say your supermarket, your local supermarket, you tell your local supermarket tomorrow, like, hey man, you gotta shut down business. They're not gonna shut down business for you. They're gonna keep going because it's a business. It's a business. It's making money, and people are gathered there. It's just like these churches and these schools. They're gathered to the fucking Y-gate. And so the world is not going to stop from doing what it's doing. So the false prophets, they're going to be out there. You see what I'm saying? The scriptures tell you they're of the world, so they speak of the world. So guys may be teaching the scriptures, but they're part of the world. And the scripture tell you when you join hand with the wicked, you are not going to punish. So like, if you're in there and it's leaven in there and it's Judas's and all types of shit in the Y-gate, you're a part of the fucking Y-gate. Guys that's sold out or guys that's working with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're in there, then you're part of the world. So the world is not going to like reframe itself back from not going out there doing their business or making money. You see, the scripture tell you that the wise, the prudent see the trouble coming and they hide of themselves. So the real prophets, they knew when it was time to like not be out there really. They knew it. They knew it, man. The false prophets, they're going to continue to go because they're looking at this thing as a business and money. That's how they're looking at it. Just like your local churches, they're not going to shut down because they're making money. They don't understand the true men of the Lord. It was a certain time where they had to like duck out of Dodge. Like Jezebel put a hit out on the prophets, and Obadiah, she hid him by 50. Obadiah, he hid him by 50s in the cave. Matter of fact, I'm going to read this real quick. 1 Kings 18:4 says, "For it was so when Jezebel cut off the prophets of the Lord." See, the true men of the Lord, they're going to be living a different life than a lot of you guys that's not really doing it for reals. Because you're not going to really understand what time it is. You're swallowed up with the Y-gate in the world. So guys are really not understanding what this thing is. But the true men of the Lord that could see, they had to be taken and hidden and shit in caves. And I did the sit down last week. How Yahushua, he had to get out of cities and shit and get out of there. It was time for him to It wasn't safe out there at a certain point for the true men of the Lord. And that's the same thing that happened with Jezebel and with all the prophets when they got to a certain point. That's, you know, like you had a lot of prophets in the New Testament that got killed. And them men knew when it was time to like, no, not be out there. But the false prophets, they was out there, right? A lot of people got put to death. The Lord got put to death. John the Baptist, James, Peter, you see? So they knew what time it was. You see what I'm saying? That they knew what time it was. But the false prophets, they will not see the times. They will not see the danger. Like, yeah, it's a certain point where you guys went out there, been going out there, but the Spirit's letting you know, like, that's not where it's at, because the Y gate, plus on top of that too, the Y gate is where all the destruction is gonna be. Because a lot for one of the main reasons, like I did the sit down yesterday, going into the two greatest commandments. A lot of guys are not doing this for the Lord. So therefore, you affiliated with that, then that same judgment is gonna befall you, and you have the mind of the fucking Y gate on top of that shit. So you're thinking like the Y gate. You're not thinking like the prophets back in the time of Obadiah, because a lot of guys, they're not of the Lord like that. So they don't really understand that part of this. You know, it was certain things the true men of the Lord, they said, they got people wanted to like kill them. And it's just like what Obadiah was doing. I mean, it's just like Elijah. It's just like Jeremiah. It's just like the prophets were doing. So, but the false prophets, they wasn't doing that. Because the false prophets was set up in opposition of the true men of the Lord. That's why so many false prophets out there. Because the true men of the Lord will be out there. And what the true men of the Lord will be saying, it'll really matter to a point to where, like, when you go back to 1 Kings 18, you'll understand that they did it to a point to where they had, like, hits out on them and shit. This is 1 Kings 18:4. So the true prophets, they're going to know what time it is. They're not going to be moving like you guys that don't understand the Spirit and what's happening right now. You see what I'm saying? Guys are not reading the Spirit. They're following the spirit of the world still. Which this thing and this truth and the part of this thing is changing. You see? The highways and the byways, like, this time now is elevating, and we're closer to the end. Like, more things is happening too with the world too, is letting you know, like, it's moving towards the end. Like, I think Putin ordered the invasion of Ukraine, I think just this morning, today. So with all these things happening and this shit happening, this, that, and the third, the true men of the Lord, they're gonna know what fucking time it is by according to how things are moving. You see, so like the prophets, when they had to hide in the caves, they knew what time it was. 1 Kings 18:4, for it was so when Jezebel cut off the prophets of the Lord, and Obadiah took 100 prophets and hid them by 50 in the cave and fed them with bread and water. You see that? And this is what you got to understand. And now when you go to when you go down in this verse, Ahab, he was like, hey, why have you troubled Israel? Which, this is the spirit that these guys in these groups, in these camps, and guys that's like making money in the merchandise, they're in the spirit of this right here. This is 1 Kings chapter 18 and 17. And it came to pass when Ahab saw Elijah, that Ahab said unto him, art thou he that troubled Israel? See, the true men of the Lord, they were troubling shit, man. They were really troubling shit. Not just passing info, but they were basically pointing out the false prophets and what was really happening. That's why you have false prophets set up. They're set up as a fucking decoy and an illusion. Like, yeah, they give you some info, but they're just a distraction. The wide gate. The wide gate. So in certain types of times, you didn't have guys out there like the false prophets are going to be out there. The true prophets, they're not going to be out there like that at a certain point. And we're at that certain point. That's why you have that Yoda mode. When I, last week, I did that sit down Yoda mode. And actually weeks before that, it's been time. Matter of fact, months ago, it's been time to, like, a certain part of the truth is going to another level, because it's nothing but corruption growing and growing and growing. And the truth is being pushed out of the truth, of the camps and church. It's being pushed out more and more, like the spirit. Really, it's the spirit. Because guys have some truth, but they're not teaching in the spirit. That's why you will not have any spiritual power teaching the Lord's word in an envious, hatred type of mind frame. The first law is having love. So that means, like, you're doing this because you have love. A lot of guys are not doing it because of that. So that takes you all the way back to this right here. This is 1 Kings 18 and 17. And it came to pass when Ahab saw Elijah, and Ahab said unto him, Thou art he that troubleth Israel. And he answered and said, I have not troubled Israel, but thou and thy father's house, and ye that have forsaken the commandments of the Lord, and thou hast followed by him and by them. And that's what guys are doing right now. They're not following the ways of the Lord. They're forsaking the ways of the Lord. And just like I did that sit down yesterday about the spirits being tormented, Ahab said that unto him, he says, Art thou he that troubleth Israel? So the spirit was troubling the false prophets and the men that were doing fucked up things. And the demons. The spirit was troubling them. So that's why men had to be hidden in the cave. But because that troubling made people want to kill him. Just like when you go back to the Lord. The scribes and the Pharisees, they was trying to kill him. That's why he had to go from city to city. Like I brought out, when he took them spirits out of them and put them spirits into them pigs, the people didn't look at him as something glorious like that. And they wanted to kill him. They said, hey man, pray thee to get out of here. You see? So what's going to be out there and available, the world's still going to be out there, but the truth is not going to be there because it cannot be amongst malicious minds and soul and envy and hate and not following the commandments of the Lord, like Elijah said. You see? So that's why you got to understand that the true prophet is going to understand the time it is. The everybody that want to be seen and this, that, and the third. And of course, the world is not going to agree. They're not even going to agree with you and what you're saying. You know, like when you're in the spirit, the wicked is not going to agree with you. So they're going to be against everything that you decide to do or speak or whatever. But you're going to know what time it is when they're not going to know because they're part of the world. You see what I'm saying? So the world is going to be the world. That's why you had to jack into the matrix, because you're not changing the matrix. You just got to come out of the fucking matrix. And it's just like these groups and these camps. They're going to still be out there in the matrix. Guys don't know when to hang it up because they're not in the spirit. They're following the world still. And it's heavy like that. It's heavy like that. I got this one scripture and I'm going to get out of here. And the spirit is still speaking, because what's needed to be understood is how the spirit is working. We can only show you how the spirit works if you're in the spirit. So it's like these lessons is letting you know where the spirit is going to be and how it's going to be. with no fucking compromise and none of that bullshit. See, these groups in these camps, churches, and the world has been compromised, man. But the true men of the Lord, they wasn't compromised. That's why they had to fucking hide, man. Like, what the fuck? There's a lot of guys that are not true men of the Lord because they really don't see what's going on. But that's their problem. That's not really our problem, because at the same time, you know, at the same time, we did what we do. We did what we were supposed to do. You know? Proverbs 28:12. When righteous men do rejoice, there is a great glory. But when the wicked arise, a man is hidden. This is the time we're in, man. When the wicked rise, a man is hidden. That means when things get worse and worse, it's not profitable to be out there, because the work is done. You should have been doing the work righteously the whole time. Instead, guys are doing this in a corrupt manner for money and shit, for clout and fame. So the spirit is not out there with these guys. What's out there is death angels behind them. The spirit that's left. Now the spirit that's left, it has to be hidden. Let me read this again. Proverbs 28:12. When the righteous man do rejoice. It's been like that. It's been like that. Actually, it's just on another level now. It's going to another level. Yeah, it's been bad out there to be out there amongst the world and to be in these groups in the camp. It's been bad already. But now the Lord is like really telling you now, like going to the ark and hide thyself now. It's time now. We're in those times, man. Proverbs 28:12. When a righteous man do rejoice, there is great glory. But when the wicked rise, a man is hidden. You see that? And remember, they're taking crafty counsel against the righteous. You see? And that crafty counsel against thy hidden ones, an example of that is Obadiah hiding those 50 prophets in the cave, because it was a crafty counsel on them to fucking get their ass. Oh, man, bro. But now we're working with the spirit now. So the spirit is like letting us know what time it is. Guys is looking at it as camps and groups still going out. That's good. But the spirit is letting us know, like, this ain't that no more. Why everybody else are not in the spirit. And the scriptures backed it up, because they wasn't out there when they had to go into them caves and hide. It wasn't time to be out there no more. So guys are not getting the spirit. But that's good. You gotta let Jay have to learn the hard way on their own. But you have the spirit out there, like, telling you still. And that's how merciful the Lord is. He's merciful enough to set out brothers in certain pockets out there that's like really letting you know, like, this we're in a different time now. You gotta hide yourself, man. You really do. This is a different ball game. It ain't about clout or fame or social media. It's not about this shit. It's about if you really have the spirit. Because if you don't, you're toast out there, bro. You're toast. You know, you're toast out there. I got this last scripture, man. Psalms 119:10. The wicked have laid a snare for me, yet I erred not from thy precepts. You see, so the men of the Lord, the wicked are going to be laying snares, and that's why the prophets had to be hid. There's all type of snares out there. Oh, this is heavy too. Proverbs 21:27. The sacrifices of the wicked is an abomination. How much more when he bringeth for the wicked mind? You have guys teaching in the wicked mind. It's not in a loving mind, bro. It's not from a place of love. And that's, if you're not doing this in love, then you're doing it. You're not in the spirit. That's why you can't have spiritual power if you're not in the spirit. Now it says the sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination. So it doesn't matter what these guys is doing out there in the world. All their sacrifices, because it's wicked. It's not from a righteous place. It's not really in the Lord like that. Guys have strayed off the path, and that's what's out there. So what guys are doing, the false prophets are going to be out there. Now it's at a point where we don't have to be out there, man. This is, we don't have to be out there like that. You see? Let the false prophets go out there. You see? That's why Yoda, he was on a fucking he was on a fucking island in the swamps by himself. And just like Elijah, he had to go hide in the woods too. Because he had just got through slaying them 800 prophets of Baal. And best believe that the spirit that was on Elijah, Yahweh Shai was in that same spirit. And it was hard. It was harder for him because every city pretty much, like it was the same thing for the Lord. It was just that the Lord, he was doing way more miracles and shit. But it was the same spirit. Elijah was doing the same miracles and shit. But that's why it's important to really understand the Lord. Because it tells you the Lord, he couldn't no more walk openly in certain places. He had to go to different cities. You see what I'm saying? That's why the wise and the foolish virgins, men are doing this to be seen. The righteous is doing this because they're really doing it from the heart. You see? Let me find this. And that's what's going on. Proverbs 29:12. If a ruler hearken to lies, all his servants are wicked. And talking about other gods in your videos, bro. Doing videos on the God of this. That's going off, bro. So guys are not in the spirit. Like guys are so much not in the spirit. They don't really understand what's needed to go into. You know what I'm saying? Because this truth ain't really pertaining to the world. It's really pertaining to within. That's why the Lord, he was sending multitudes away. And then he'll really chop it down to the disciples. So guys really don't really understand what this is. The world is going to be caught up in a fucking snare. And this is what you got to understand, man. So guys that are teaching the word out there, they're teaching it without the spirit. And that's the world. Because the spirit can't be amongst the wicked. And how they present the truth is not the way like the prophets presented it in the scriptures. Because that's why these guys are famous and out there. Nobody wants these guys. Nobody's looking for them. Because they're already fucking giving over to Satan. They're doing what Satan wants them to do. You see? Yeah, this is it right here. Proverbs 22:3. And what we do is we break down the scriptures in a way to where everything, it all goes together. It all makes sense. First, you got to really understand Yahweh Shai, man. You got to understand Yahweh Shai. He had to go, he went and hid in the mountains. He was in, when they caught him, he was in the woods out in, I think it was Gethsemane, I think. So look, he was already isolated. Guys are not in that spirit where they understand like this is spiritual war. And you really have to be in the spirit. You do. Like, if you ain't in the spirit, you just gonna be, you know, like, you don't know what's going on. You just out there. Proverbs 22:3, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. And the scriptures tell you to measure the times. Measure the times, man. Measure the times. Know what time it is. Proverbs 22:3. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. But the simple pass on and are punished. A lot of guys, they're going to be punished. We're in a time of punishment, bro. So we're like letting brothers know, man, you got to be in the spirit. If you're not in the spirit, if you have hatred in your heart like that, and you're not really motivated by the spirit of the Lord, like a lot of guys are motivated by money, you're going to die. You have no spiritual covering, because it's not about how the world sees it. You really got to be in tune with the spirit. And you know what? To a certain degree, you got to be born like that. Like the Lord got to actually choose you from the womb. You see, because a lot of guys, they're not chose from the womb. But what's happening is the spirit is dividing that, so you can really understand like where the real and where the fake at. So I got just 9:1, and he answered me then, and he said, measure thou. Let me read that again. And he answered me again and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs which I have told you before, you got to measure the times. You got to know what time we're in. It's a certain time for things. Now it ain't a certain time for shit no more. You see what I'm saying? The false prophets are going to be out there because it's a business for them. You know, it's like McDonald's, bro. It don't have nothing to do with the Lord with them out there. You see? So the spirit, it will dwell with men. The Lord has set up men for the spirit to dwell with them, and you got to find it. And that is the gold, man. That is the treasure that in Matthew chapter 13, the treasure that's hidden in the field, the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom is in you. It's not out there. Especially right now, it's not out there. Measure the time thou diligently in itself. And I'm going to go back to this scripture, man, and this is going to be it, man. Proverbs 22:3, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. And with that, shalom.